Blessings, Quantum Family. It's Jules and Aubriana. Welcome, Aubriana. And this is your Ascended Astrology forecast. And though this is kind of being centered around the month of February, it definitely is in a time space continuum of its own. And that's what we want to invite you into. And I'm super excited about what's been coming through because we really are in a pivotal moment where we can really step into a frequency that is at a 0 point and create from the frequency of source. So that's what I want to invite everybody into as you're kind of moving with us over these next few 30 or 40 minutes as we go through this. But I'm going to kind of just turn it over to you first, Aubriana, to read the first. I think what we'll do is we'll just have you read the first part of the forecast. We'll ascend it. The second part, we'll ascend it, and then we'll do the activation at the end.
Okay, thank you. Um, um, Essentially, yeah, so like Jules said, it's around February, but how this kind of started was at the very end of January. So at the very end of January, um, Pluto entered into Aquarius right next to the sun. So I will say that um, what I realized, like the biggest thing that came through was how Pluto has never been next to these planets before, um, with anyone who's alive right now in Aquarius. So what that means is that there couldn't be a better time to ascend astrology because none of us are holding this energetic pattern in our blood or in our system already. So yeah, that is the first space that we start is with Pluto coming into conjunction with the sun at the end of January.
Mm. And then, so tell us a little bit about what Pluto, the energy of Pluto and the sun as they, maybe let's talk about Pluto first, just because I know that's the one that it's going to be the reoccurring theme.
Yes. Yes. So Pluto in astrology is known as the destroyer. He is seen as life and death, um, regeneration. He's kind of deemed the lord of the underworld. So there are a lot of I use this a lot, but I say that Pluto kind of gets a bad rap because people see him as coming in and tearing things down. However, when we take him over to the ascended form, Pluto is 22. So
Mm.
in the ascended form, he is the creator and creation at the same time. So it's almost like, destruction and this idea of being destroyed can't even exist if we're constantly in the shift of 963, if we're constantly in source intelligence. So really, that's just the big difference there is that Pluto in the programming can feel, he's also like power and intensity and passion, but he can feel unnerving almost. But when we look at what he really is, it's the opportunity to constantly create.
I love that. So the 22 would be master creator. It's the ability to be in creation and create at the same time. I also want to just go back to, because when you say this, my body lights up, is it's destroying. And then right after that, you said it's life and death. So Pluto has the ability to neutralize the programming of the life and death cycle if we ascend it, right? So I feel as though just what would it be if Pluto in this period of time that we get to experience what it's capable of is that we see it as the neutralizer, is that it's neutralizing the limitations of our own lives, the limitations on a personal level. And then we'll go through what some of the different things that, because I know we're going to move it right into the sun right now, which I know is this personal aspect. Before we go into that too much, maybe just think about where in my life am I ready to ascend this into the experience of source, into the frequency of source, and explore what that is with the support of the ascended astrology that is actually here to ascend us, right? If we follow the frequency of what it is in the frequency of source, it becomes magical. And that's the invitation that I want to just have you hold right now, is let go of everything that you think it is and let it show you what it really is. And then you're always ascending past your own programming. So, with that, let's talk a little bit about, so 22 is Pluto, master creator. It's the ability to create in the frequency of source. It's the ability to create without observation or creating timelines. It's the ability to keep it so clean and so pure that you are just the creator and the creation at the same time. The 22 is in a space of mastery, right? To master something means that you are not allowing programmed reality to get in the way. It's not in your sphere of existence. It is so clean and so pure that you are just a creator of source frequency. So just holding that in mind, if this is true, which it is, you have this frequency of intelligence within you. How would I continue on the journey of what we're about to move into over the next few months? But we're going to start first with in January with the first sign that you wanted to bring through.
Okay, so I love this, and I feel like I couldn't have come up with it better if I tried. But the fact that when Pluto moved into Aquarius, he did so at the exact same degree as the sun. And so the sun and Pluto came together. And in astrology, the sun is the self. The sun is the identity, our soul essence, so to speak. And so I just feel like it was so beautiful to have that be the first step. So Pluto is coming together with the self because it always needs to start here. So the sun is 7.
So tell us a little bit about how we could use Pluto coming into the frequency of the sun, the self, and just let's just kind of talk about like what that looks like, and then we can look at the other side and ascend it.
So it would be kind of all the stuff that Pluto represents, and then all the stuff that the sun represents. So I would read this as first of all, the self being kind of obsessed. You could get obsessed with different things depending on where it hits your personal chart. But yes, definitely bringing a lot of obsession to the self, bringing power to the self, and the shadow aspect of that is potentially power over others. Would be like something to watch out for. Um, and so power, obsession, and really just like looking at yourself on a day-to-day basis. Like a lot of things will kind of fall away if they're surface level. So like, why am I like why am I doing this? What are my drives? What are my passions? Is kind of what Pluto is asking of the sun.
I love that because this has been such a reoccurring theme, is what is your inception point? It's kind of like, where did I start this from? And to kind of step back and look, okay, what in my life is working and what is kind of feeling some static? And then just being willing to look at, okay, where did I start this from? Because it could have been, I chose this in a frequency that I'm just not holding anymore. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's just time to let it go. It may mean that, but it could mean that we just need to up level the inception point, meaning, okay, back then I chose it because I was afraid that I wasn't going to make it in the world. And I started this from a place of, oh, everybody has to see me. Or I started this job because it had um, a good salary, and I just wanted money coming in, but it's not serving me anymore. So what do I need to do to bring it into the field or the frequency of where I am now so that it can hold a different frequency for me? And that could be just as simple as a perspective shift, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, well, now I'm going to quit my job. But that is such a huge part because we can use this frequency of the master creator, which is Pluto, and then bring that into the awareness of self. Because when we are choosing from that heart space, we really do become unstoppable when we're choosing through that divine intelligence within us. And that's not based on a chemical, it's not based on wanting an emotion. It's not based on an outcome so that we feel safe. It's just, this is my guidance. And from there, we just remember, where did I make that choice from? I made it from clear, direct, divine guidance. From that place, I know whatever happens, it's in direct guidance, right? It's going to only take me on the path until my next place of, okay, what's the direct guidance? And that's what we call following the breadcrumbs. We're just in listen and do. And I really am feeling that's the frequency of Pluto with the sun in the ascended state. So, where am I starting from? Is it from that divine guidance? And if it's yes, I let all of the fear and all the doubts that come after saying yes go because I know where I made my choice from. Okay, so the 7 is the second code, which is connected to that messenger teacher. It's direct communication with source intelligence. So it's so perfect to connect to the 22. And we'll go into this a little bit more, but I feel like you guys can just kind of see where all of this is going as we connect this pathway. All right, Ariana, so let's go ahead and go into the next planet.
Okay, so once you kind of touch down itself, then the next planet that comes into conjunction with Pluto and Aquarius is going to be Mercury. So Mercury is communication, technology, travel, but really it has a lot to do with the intellect. So with Pluto there, um, and bringing, it can bring obsessive communication, it can bring powerful communication, it can bring obsessive thoughts, it can almost like, if you want to look at it from the destroyer perspective, like it can destroy communications or like the way that we're communicating with others. So yeah, that's enough because the other side is so much more fun.
Okay, so this is the code that's connected, and it's the 2, which is communicator. It's the communicator, but it's also the connector, right? It's the connector between spirit and form. It's the connector between the message and delivering the message, if you will. And when we ascend that, again, let's just go into what is Pluto on the other side. It's the neutralizer. So if there's somewhere in your life that you're feeling, oh, this could get a little clearer, or there's static between us, invite the frequency of the ascended Pluto, that master creator frequency, to come in, and then inviting the ascended state of Mercury, or the 2, of clear, precise communication through the frequency of 963 or source. I'm not communicating through my programming. I'm communicating through the field or the frequency. And if I'm showing up in that way, not me, but all of us are showing up in that way, then we cannot fail. You guys, we cannot fail. If it's not received, it's not on us, right? It's because sometimes It needs to be in a frequency of not being received, but our perception of what that is through our programming, because the truth is it's received perfectly. That's the ascended state of all of this, is that everything is in perfect divine order. It's our perception and where we're holding consciousness in the reality of what we're seeing that is giving us the illusion of what it is that we think we see. So really think about that, because in the frequency of 963, it's a completely different experience. Know your experience is a direct reflection of consciousness. But when we bring in the frequency of 963, it does change our experience. And an example of that would be, well, I mean, you see this all the time where two people can have the exact same experience, but they walk away saying two different things. I mean, how many times do you see that? That is the perfect example of people receiving an experience through their programming. And there's consciousness in that, right? Because where we're holding consciousness, either in our programming or we're attuning to the intelligence, is going to create the reality of what we're experiencing. But when we are starting to see these pathways of astrology and we're shifting it to the other side, it's the same thing that we're doing on a daily basis. This is what I'm seeing. What is it really? This is what I'm seeing. What is it really? And what is it really? We're attuning our consciousness to a frequency, that 963, in order to see what's beyond what we're able to see. Does that mean that's what it is? No, it's always going to show us something more. So the two, what I also love is that it comes after the seven. So until you're in a divine yes, there is nothing to be communicated. Once the divine yes and the guidance comes through the sun or the seven, then you're communicating in direct, clear guidance. It's so beautiful the way that this has been created for us, you guys. It's blowing my mind. Where are we starting? In mastery. Where are we receiving guidance? Direct communication and source. Where am I speaking from? Direct communication of source. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, so the next planet that Pluto comes into conversation with is going to be Mars. So, well, this is a good one. Okay, Mars is action. He's willpower. He's strength. He can be seen as war. So it's really like that motivating factor, like what motivates you to take action.
Mhm.
Kind of shadow program of it. It can. I will say that this one is, from my experience, the most fear-based one,
Mm,
wrapped up in the most programming because Mars has, we have labeled him as such a malefic, as bringing, war, as bringing volatility, and to have the power and strength of Pluto, it can bring like really powerful volatility. Essentially, is how that's translated. So yes, I'll stop there.
okay, what I was, this just came as you were saying that, is that we truly are getting to a frequency where it's not going to be tolerated anymore, right? Like, how many times do we have to destroy something through violence before we realize that violence doesn't work? Right? And we are in a place where we're realizing that finally, okay, like shocker, right? Like we really are starting to see that communication from a heartfelt space is way more powerful than trying to control with power and violence. And I mean, you can see that so clearly just in our relationships, right? Or even with a child, it's uplifting them and saying what they're doing right is way more powerful than scolding them and telling them what they're doing wrong. And that's just the way that we as humans have the ability to grow. And in that frequency of the code that is connected to this is the one. What is the one? Well, the one is the innovator, it's the leader. So we've communicated now through the frequency of source. Now, how do we shift the frequency of Mars? We become the leader. We become innovative thought. We become new ways of doing things. We know what doesn't work, and that is violence, war, power over, control doesn't work. What does work? Well, as innovative leaders, we're connecting into that source. We're starting from a place of creator beings, that master creator. We're starting in mastery. We're getting direct, clear guidance from source. Then we're communicating what that guidance is. Then we're stepping into innovative thought and leadership to show the way, right? That is the frequency of the ascended space of this. That is what it is to be a way shower. The one is the way shower. It hasn't been done before. And just like I'm getting major shells, just like where we started all of this, we are in a time period where Pluto has never had this experience yet. And from anyone that's been alive. So we aren't looking back 230 years ago to find out what happened back then. We're in a clean, open space where we get to choose what is this. And then once the choice has been made, we take action. That is what this frequency right here is how do I take action in ascending past the primal negative response of these planets and bring it into the frequency and the experience of source, because that's what it always was supposed to be until we got our programming and the illusion and let the primal part of our bodies take over. It's time to let that go and step into the frequency of source and be what we came here to be. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so our next one is going to be, it's just so fun how this works. So, self to communication to action to relationships. So we get to see how Venus and Pluto interact together. And more so than that, I just, it's really like I say that because it's like we get to see what it is, but being in the space that we're in, we actually get to create what it is. And
Mm,
that feels so fun and exciting.
I love
um, so Venus, yes, so Venus is fine. Venus is going to be relationships, love. She's beauty, tranquility, worth, and but the big ones really that stood out to me is like that love and relationship aspect. So with Pluto, it can be almost like obsessive love, or Pluto even rules the subconscious. So like this is like love fantasies, getting lost in that. And um, then again, you come in with the power, and so power struggles within relationships, within love. It can bring up a lot of intensity in our relationships. Okay, sorry.
Okay, I love that. So the nine is the illusion breaker. It's the mastering of the matrix. It's the mastering of the illusion, right? So what I love about and I'm getting chills because I know what the next card is. And so the nine is that God reflects God or source reflects source. It's I am source, and what I see in my reality is the reflection of that. And that is a level of mastery. And so, just like what we were saying before, it's okay. that didn't work. That's of the illusion. What is it really? And then taking action and leadership in what's possible. So the 9 is the ability to see, oh, that's the programmed or the old paradigm. What is it now? And to know that instantly so that we're always seeing what it is through the eyes of source. We're hearing through the ears of source. We're sensing through the body of source. However you want to see it, is that that's the experience that we're being invited into. When source is reflecting source, there's one frequency in reflection of each other. 963 is reflection of 963. So really, there's only one energy. What is there? There's the intelligence of source, and then there's consciousness that's observing that frequency. Once that realization happens, meaning what that would look like is, I know that I am source. I am source. I'm naming myself. So that is a reflection. And when that hits, you realize to say I am is still not it, because I have to name myself to be something. And in that moment, the reflection is no longer needed. So the 2 is added to the 9 and becomes the 11. And the 11 is one state of consciousness in the frequency of source. It's Christ consciousness. And in that space, we don't have to name who we are. We just are. We become it. What is crazy, I randomly picked what the last code was, and it was an 11. But if you add up all of the numbers before this, it's an 11. The journey is in the coding of the planets to activate the intelligence of consciousness of source. That is what, so when, like, how long will these planets, is it all the way through February, or does it go further out? Like, what is our, if we were to put this in a timeline of mastery, what would it be?
It it would depend on which one, because they all have different cycle lengths.
Mm.
But for instance, like the sun will already move into Pisces by February 18th. So like
Okay.
he'll be done. Um, so yeah, nobody's really gonna hang out with Pluto and Aquarius for very long.
Mhm. Okay, well, I would say let's just take it out of time and just be coded to the experience of what this is. So I think what I'll do now, I was going to bring up a board, but I'm not really feeling it. I think I'm just going to hold up the codes and let's just do a quick coding and then we'll open it up to discussion. All right, so let's just start by placing hands on heart. And just breathing in that white blue light, allowing it to trace along the brain and moving down through the spine and out through the mouth. As you're attuning your spinal fluid to that frequency of 963 or source frequency. And then as you breathe in, allowing it to move into your heart space, into your blood, just feeling as with each heartbeat that this frequency is spreading throughout your body, ascending your blood, raising the frequency of your blood to 963. Allowing that light to move into every cell of your body as it attunes your physical body to the frequency of source. And then we'll go ahead and activate the first DMT code of the 22. Just feeling that as it moves in through the third eye, into the pineal gland, allowing it to spin as it activates the frequency of Master Creator, what it is to be the creator and the creation at the same time. Just feeling that frequency as it activates in every cell of your body. And then we activate the frequency of the 7, the ability to tap into direct, clear, precise communication with the intelligence of Source. You are a channel holding the intelligence through direct guidance in the frequency of 963. And just feeling that as it activates every cell of your body. That as a master creator, you will be given clear, direct guidance. Then activating the 2. That within this guidance, you will communicate, that you will be the bridge between what was and what's becoming. Just feeling the 2 as it activates in your body. Upgrading your software system. The experience of communication through the frequency of 963. So that you can take action from an innovative thought as the way shower, the leader, into that new reality, that new frequency, the field of Source. What is it to exist in a reality where everything is the frequency of Source? What new innovative way of being is coming through this beautiful communication? Just allowing yourself to be activated in a state of action, innovative thought, and leadership. Allowing the illusion of the matrix to be dissolved, where everything is held in the frequency of 963, or Source intelligence. It's to exist within the matrix, but not of the matrix. It's to be that clear, open channel of the frequency of Source. It's the ability to ascend the illusion into the frequency of Source, feeling the 9 as it activates every cell of your body. As when action is taken, it is breaking the illusion of the matrix. Where we ascend into the frequency, where we're holding consciousness in the intelligence, holding consciousness in a state of being, beyond observation, beyond programming. The pure essence of Source intelligence. And just feeling the 11 as it connects to all the other codes. You started in mastery and you're ending in mastery. This is the code of pure divine mastery. This is your experience if you choose it. Letting the code activate, connecting to all the other codes as it creates a beautiful system of intelligence for you to experience. Just allowing your consciousness to attune to this frequency, as it will give you clear, direct guidance. It will show you the way. Just allowing yourself to surrender into that frequency, feeling your body, just feeling how it's just holding a higher frequency. You may even be feeling the heat of your cells spinning at a faster rate. The intelligence of Source is stored within you. It will always be there to guide you to ascending reality, the body and our experience into the field of source. And then as you take your last breath, just allowing yourself to open your eyes for the first time in this new frequency. What's different? Be open and curious and exploring that. So we'll just move it into gallery and open it up to any questions. Let's see, we got Marilyn with her hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm going to be really honest here. Normally, when I hear the word astrology, I run the other way. This does not feel like astrology to me at all, and it does not feel linear at all. And if it wasn't, I mean, 2 weeks ago, everything you're talking about just randomly, I say randomly, but started happening to me where I received some information out of the blue, okay, about our home or whatever. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And I didn't react. And now every day, everything that you're saying is happening every single day. And it's almost like when I've listened to every single one of your readings for January and February, and they're spot on. I feel like you're talking directly to me when you're reading those. And I've read every single one. If it I don't I mean, I'm not sure I would have believed this if it wasn't happening to me. So yeah, and when I stop to think about the big life change, I'm moving my family, and when I wake up in the morning, if I stop to think about it myself, I go into a panic. And then I just literally I stop myself and I surrender my thoughts and I go back into the intelligence, because it's not me doing this. It's not me, because I would not have done this. So in some mornings I panic, because I'm spending some money to move. And so I'm just trusting. I guess my question is, do I just, everything you're saying is exactly what I'm going through. Do I just keep my plan is to just keep listening and just take it day by day.
Follow the breadcrumbs, girl. I mean, that is really that is how we stay in that just step back into that 22. I'm the creation and the creator at the same time, and really feel into what that means, right? That means that you're not observing what's being created, you're not questioning it, you're just
I'm not, yeah.
creation, creator, creation, creator. Where you are is exactly where we all are striving to exist, because that's what it is to exist out of our programming. It doesn't mean the programming isn't going to be there questioning and, oh, is this, but we just keep it in the back seat
Mhm,
and we just keep going, right? I mean, it's going to be there. It's even there for me at times. I'm like, oh,
mhm,
there's the little mini me. But I have learned to just keep it in the back seat, and you give it little things to play with or some candy to eat, and then you just keep going.
Okay, quick question. So I'm doing that and I'm not even questioning. I'm just going, literally just listening. I don't think I could not do this. If I wanted to. If I wanted to, I just can't even stop. But not everyone in my, that I live with is there. And when you're making a big life change, how do you because they're not, not everyone in my family's in the same place. So what do you do with that?
You remember where it started, because you're right, not everybody's going to love you for but if that inception point, right, is where did this guidance come from? Okay, it was a clear, direct guidance through the intelligence, through source. And if that is where you started,
Hmm.
everybody wins, and that's what you rest in. So even if there's backlash, it doesn't sway you from where this is, right? And that's the thing, is
Hmm.
everybody's going to have their experience of it is from where they are consciously.
Hmm.
Your job is to keep
Hmm.
listening and doing. Let everybody else have the experience that they're going to have. and then you're always in that frequency of the field, right? And eventually everything just starts to move and work out
Fall
in
in place,
whatever
yeah.
way. But keep this out of this, oh, it should be this way, or it should be this way, it should be this way. Just do what you're told, honey.
So Jules, I just have to say, I'm so grateful because it's not even me doing this. So the intelligence, when I came up against resistance with my family, it literally did that for me. It literally brought the inception point into my mind and came out of my mouth. I'm not even doing this. I can't even take credit at all. I can't. And I'm so grateful to all of you. And thank you guys. And I have to say to Abriana, this does not feel linear at all. This does not feel everything you guys are doing just feels very fluid and right on point in that moment. I'm very grateful to you both. Thank you.
Thank you. And I love how you said that, because that is when that starts to happen and the intelligence actually starts to lead and we're just kind of hanging out watching it happen. That's when we hit the miracle pattern, right? Because we truly become consciously unconscious. The body of the intelligence of source is leading, and then our consciousness is just following, going, oh my gosh, look how awesome this is, or oh my gosh, it could be this or it could be that. But there's something else that is driving the car, and
Mhm.
we get to just have the experience of that. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Let's go with Angie.
So a couple of things. One, Marilyn, I've had the same experience watching the Ascended Astrology YouTubes. It's almost like it doesn't matter if the sign is my sign or my supporting sign or none of those. You almost experience like a personal reading. It feels so personal. So I just wanted to reiterate that because it's just been my experience as well. The other thing is ascended astrology sort of just as a topic of something that we're experimenting with or experiencing. And watching these videos and some of the crystal, I've been playing in pathways of information through the intelligence of the crystals, I guess is a way to put it. And I got a very clear message or very clear information that they're wanting to, that there's a purging of the timeline of birth programs. When I received that information, I'm like Marilyn, that did not come from me. I'm not even sure I understand that what that means. There's like a sense of knowing it. When you hit the 11, you were talking about the 11 and you were talking about, I guess, basically identification of transcending I am. It kind of that message came back into my mind. And so that makes me think about, I mean, to some level, we've all sort of, whether we're into astrology or not, bought into some sort of program or identity around I'm a Capricorn. This is, what that's connected to or associated with. And so is that what, when we say, or when I say, purging the timeline of birth program, is that the sort of identity program that we've adopted in our lifetime?
Yeah, that's what I like. If it was me and I was approaching this channel and the readings that are there, I would start at one and I would go all the way through, because you're starting at the first frequency or the intelligence of the avatar. And on that page, it tells you what that avatar is, right? So you're receiving the guidance. And then what's happening is you're starting to shift your identity into identifying as a frequency of source. But it's giving you a pathway of how to do that, because each of the codes, it is almost in a way, it's an action step or a specific identity within the frequency of source that you can ascend through. There is a level of mastery in what we're offering here, in that I'm not a Pisces. I'm the frequency of source. But how can I use the avatar or the frequency that Pisces is holding to advance my personal mastery into that frequency of source? It shifts the way that we're seeing identity altogether from the I am of how can I just attune into this? That's what I call holding a persona, right? I can pull on the persona of the 33 of mastery, and then I can step into the frequency of what that is. I let it attune my body, and then I can move into an expression of that. That's way different than projecting what I think mastery is.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting how when you start experiencing the other signs that are not your own, that you are all of them.
Yes, very much so.
And that was shocking in terms of a surprise, not, but that really surprised me. And
I love it. I love it. Adriana.
I love that, Angie. And it's so interesting because every time I hear that, I just think of the rising sign. So the rising sign being that that sign that was there on the horizon the first moment that you took your first breath in this program. And it blows my mind every time. So there's a lot there. So thank you for that to bring in. It was just so beautiful. And I would like I would like to bridge this in a way because what I experienced, it's almost like this is coming through, but I'm not really sure where it's going, Jules. But the day before Pluto went into my sixth house of health was when I dislocated my knee, right? And so it was very interesting for me because I did see the programming behind that, almost expecting some horrendous physical thing to happen, some abrupt physical thing to happen, where on one degree it could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. The interesting part was that instance and the way that I consciously chose to move through the instance has brought me into this whole new realm, this whole new energetic pattern of physical mastery. And I don't know if I would have had that experience without it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost, I get the part that I'm feeling the need to bridge here is that even if you do observe astrological events that are playing out, there's always that opportunity to ascend it and to consciously choose, how do I want to move through this experience? Because for me, it was very empowering. I mean, also miraculous. I can't believe that I went from dislocating my knee to ice skating in 7 days. But what was behind that was the conscious choice of going through the physical breaking down.
I think you just nailed it. I mean, that is exactly what it is to ascend astrology or just ascend reality altogether, right? We don't even have to know what astrology is in order to ascend what we're experiencing within our reality. We just have in that moment we become aware of what we're agreeing to, we have a choice. And in that choice, we have what? Focus. Right? So I'm either going to continue to focus in the programming of what I'm experiencing, or I'm going to shift my experience into the field or the frequency of source. And then I'm going to tune my consciousness there and I'm going to have it from a different place. That takes spiritual discipline. And it takes the tools to be able to hold consciousness outside of our programming. But that's what it is to ascend to reality. And it works. I mean, the thing is that quantum physics has already proven that it works. So we don't even have to have scientific proof. That didn't come out right. We do have scientific proof that this is a real thing. For those of you that need science to back up anything you believe, there it is. Okay. Well, this has just been so amazing. I hope you all have enjoyed it. We're going to post this video. Please comment on the video. You guys, like this is going to help us grow. And the more the interaction we get with you, the more motivating it is to keep doing it, right? Because we really do want this to be a collaborative effort because we're doing this together. And when we feel you and we hear you and we see you, it matters. Okay. It really does matter. So we thank you for showing up and being a part of this today. And we do love these interactions. And I guess that's all. Thank you so much for showing up today and your brilliance, Aubriana. And we love you all so much. And we will see you, if not before, we'll hopefully see you next month. Oh, did you have something to say, Trish, or are you just signing off?
Well, I always have something to say, but I just don't say it. But this is in response to your, when you said the other day, I wish you would comment because I feel so sad. Oh, I'm just kidding. But I really felt it, and technically, I can't comment on the things. But I want you to know that I love and appreciate all the time, energy, work, and effort that everyone has put into creating the avatars, creating the programs, and keep, laying it out there. And my experience with the avatars is really elevated. So I'm a 7 and a 1, so a messenger and an innovator, and it's really kicking in. It's kicking in more into my life minute by minute. Yesterday, I went into a store. I'm tired. I went to get something to eat. I watch a man walk across the store and walk like, how are you, miss? Like, what? How you doing? And I said, I'm really good, thank you. What are you doing lately? Okay, I'm taking classes. Really? What kind of classes? So I just made a general statement. That little conversation led to 15, 20 minutes of what we do.
Hmm.
And it can continually happen. Another day, I like your necklace. It's the necklace with the 9 on it with the sun. What does 9 mean? I'm like, oh, here we go. So I just, and I just kind of slide into receiving, and it just keeps moving and moving. I grabbed a lemon off the basket and said, well, look at this. Here's spherical time. So it's just the way it's been going. But everything that I've learned over the past few years is coming into alignment and a nice sequencing in my ability to express it simply and clearly, which backs up the avatars, that I'm experiencing now. And yes, all of the readings of all of the signs, every time I hear them, my mind says, yes, because there is no programming. And when you're in the essence of 963, there is no limitation of that sign or that program. And so all of the astrological signs kind of meld into all the powers together, the empowerment of all together. So there's no limitation.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
And there's no, oh, that's my sign. Oh, that's your sign. So we're this different. No, it's all unified and all details and pieces that belong together, like threads in a blanket. They belong together.
Beautifully said, girl. Beautifully said. And thank you for sharing because that was amazing. Hmm. Okay, chills, ending that with a chill up my spine and just how beautiful, we are creating something that's just really beautiful together. And I appreciate the shares because it just makes it that much more real for people to hear the experiences of how it's playing out, right? Okay, I love you guys. Thank you again, Aubriana, and we will see you next time.